Today's Bachelor Party is brought to you by the upcoming film, The Spy Who Dumped Me. The hilarious action comedy follows two best friends, played by Mila Kunis and Kate McKinnon, who become entangled in an international conspiracy when one of them discovers that the boyfriend who dumped her was actually a spy. Check out the trailer, also starring Justin Theroux and Sam Heughan. See the movie in theaters August 3rd. Today's show is sponsored by Ben & Jerry's. As a brand, Ben & Jerry's is known for creating quirky and unique flavor combinations, complete with delicious chunks and swirls throughout. It is an indulgent experience, and it is meant to be. But now, with the new Mouphoria flavors, digging into a bowl of your favorite treat is even sweeter. Because at 140 to 160 calories per serving and less fat than regular ice cream, Mouphoria is the lightest way to enjoy all the euphoria of Ben & Jerry's. It tastes so much better than other healthier or better-for-you frozen desserts. And it comes in 3 amazing flavors, including chocolate milk and cookies, which is made up of chocolate and vanilla swirls with chocolate chip cookies, caramel cookie fix, which features vanilla and salted caramel swirls with shortbread cookies, and PB dough, complete with gobs of chocolate chip peanut butter. Give them a try. Go to store.benjerry.com to have Mouphoria light ice cream delivered to you.
I really want to tell her that, I'm a virgin, and it's been a personal choice that I've made. My fear today is just, how is she going to react to it? So, I hope she understands.
Welcome to Bachelor Party. I'm Juliet Litman. I'm sorry that this is a day late, but I apologize with the best guest, Rob Mills.
Aw, thank you. That's very
How's
sweet.
How's it going?
It's great. I was so excited to get your email that...
Thank you for doing
it.
it.
Oh my gosh, so happy.
I was thinking of The Bachelor when I was in Vegas because Becca went there. And where did they stay?
Did. They stayed at the Aria.
Oh, nice. I had dinner at Carbone. That was really good at the Aria.
I can't remember if we hit that place. We went to some Mexican place. That was one of the episodes I tried. Javier's. That's exactly where we went.
That's in the lobby.
Yes.
I went there too for a drink.
It's pretty good.
Well, they have that in Century City as well.
You're right. That's right. Now you say that. Mm-hmm.
In Vegas, there's nothing. Obviously, it was always a weird world, but now it's not original. Every fancy thing from New York and LA is also in Vegas.
There. No, I also was there just recently, and I went to Rayo's.
Yeah, that's in the Aria
it's
too.
It's in Caesars. No, that's in Caesars,
right?
Yeah.
Where I was, thanks to Caesars Palace for hosting the Ringer.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about Becca. So
let's talk about Becca. You've had some thoughts. I've been listening to the podcast and following your thoughts all season.
Did you listen to the Nick episode?
That's the one episode I haven't listened to.
So much pushback.
Now I'm going to hear from Nick saying why didn't you listen to my episode?
Nick is going to be mad if I talk about him, so I'll keep it short.
No, go ahead. Talk about it. He's got a thick skin. Nick is the best.
He is a good dude. But
I did see something where I think Higgins, though, was jealous.
Yes, he was.
He was like, how dare you?
Yes, Ben tweeted about it because he was jealous. But Ben, you have my number.
That's right, exactly. You know. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know where to find me.
Mm-hmm.
But so much pushback on the Nick episode. Mm-hmm. Because
what was the pushback? They just don't like him?
I just think that Nick is Nick likes to verbally spar. He likes to have a debate. Mm-hmm. He likes to talk things out. And it doesn't faze me at all.
Which episode was he a guest on? Clearly one of the earlier episodes.
Yeah, I think
3 or 4 maybe.
I think it was 4. It might have been 5, but it was.
What was there really to debate or spar on? That's the only thing. I just don't know.
I don't know. We just but Nick just pushes back, and there was a lot of pushback on that.
Yeah, that's what happens. Well, Nick knows what works for him, and that's being controversial.
That's true. Mm-hmm. I heard more feedback about the Nick episode than the other episode, and I was like, well, that's why he was on the show 4 times.
There you go. Exactly.
Because people talk about it.
No, it is. There's, love him or hate him, there is a quality to Nick.
Absolutely.
He's got a star quality,
and he had really good ratings.
His season had great ratings.
Yes,
and that was also. Nick did so much he broke the stigma of you can't have a bachelor from Paradise.
Right.
If you go on Paradise, that means you're tainted forever. And it was so he did a lot. He was the Rosa Parks of Bachelor in Paradise. So
that's an insult to Rosa Parks.
Yes, exactly. Rosa Parks is how dare you?
That brings us back to Becca. Mm-hmm. Ratings have been low for Becca.
I mean, they're actually basically on par with Rachel's.
Okay.
I actually just looked at what we did last night and Rachel did not get twice interrupted by
the president.
Yeah, I'm just going to say Trump and
it's funny.
President Trump.
I prefer to say the president rather than his name. It's like,
that's interesting. Okay, maybe I'll start doing it that way.
I don't know why. It's
the
like
president.
I'm giving him credit, but I don't like to say his name. I avoid the sound of his voice at all costs.
Okay, I didn't want to put president before, but I'll just say the president. Okay, so we get these interruptions twice, which was really difficult, and it's so hard to get in the flow of.
Do you get a heads up that's going to happen?
Oh yeah, it's a big thing, and it was it's a big debate with the news wants to cover it as thoroughly as possible, as they should. And then for us, we also know, I do have to say, look, I just want you to understand, you're going to get some pissed off fans.
Yes, and there were. People were pissed.
People were pissed. The only people who were pissed at somebody on the show, this is just completely anecdotally. So our premiere was on Memorial Day.
Yes.
And Chris Harrison tweets out something like, oh, so sorry, the people in Indy, you're getting preempted. Call your, affiliate, let them know, tell them you're pissed off about this. And they're all like, F you, Harrison. It's the Indy 500. It's our biggest thing of the year. It's like,
of course,
completely blew up in his face. Yeah, exactly.
That's
funny.
I
think they were saying like, maybe Chris could tweet like, I'm really sorry. Like, I didn't mean to defend him. He's like, I'm not doing that. But whatever. But it's like, no, you should know what you're tweeting about. Like this last night, the other thing with the summit, that's when you can say like, yeah, really sorry, guys. But so yeah, people are pissed off.
Right.
They're very upset.
And so. Is there like, do you get to push back to news or like who
you say a little bit?
Call?
It's a little bit of a, but it's like, well, we'd like 30 minutes. It's like, well, okay, but what is that 30 minutes going to be? Because people are going to be upset that you're taking them out of the show for 30 minutes.
Right.
And you sort of try and find the thing, again, these are we had never had anything like the president going to South Korea. So that's a big thing.
Sure.
Or North Korea. I don't even remember where he went to now.
It was North, yes.
Thank you. I said South. I was like, that sounds wrong.
South, we're all good. North, that's the controversial one.
Absolutely. All right. Maybe edit that out.
Sure.
No, I'm just kidding. You can keep it in.
That's why you're a great guest, because you just will talk about what's going on. So
absolutely.
So the ratings are on par with Rachel.
Ratings are on par with Rachel, but they're lower than. Look, I've got to be honest with you. You saw the reaction at the final rose.
Yes.
And the place goes berserk.
Yes.
And you think, okay, this thing's going to be massive. So clearly there's she had all the momentum going in, and I think there's a few things that maybe weren't in our control. Maybe premiering on Memorial Day isn't the best.
You always do that, though.
No, we usually premiere the week before.
Oh, really?
Idol pushed us a week later.
Got it. Okay.
But that's not, again, to your point, like you're clearly like, yeah, it's not that. I think it can be, when you talk about the guys and some of the controversies and things like that. And I think maybe it's that. And I don't know, Becca's a Bachelorette. Certainly in filming and watching the ads, I thought, well, she's very refreshing. She sort of tells it like it is. But, I think you may have some theories as to why maybe she's not an all-timer who do you put on your Mount Rushmore of Bachelorettes?
Caitlyn, for sure.
Caitlyn, we talked about
number
that.
One. Mm-hmm. Yes, Caitlyn is the best. And we'll get into that. I want to talk about it. I think Jillian was pretty good.
Jillian was great. Jillian, very underrated Bachelorette.
Yes, Jillian was very good. If you can think of like a hot tub scene, it's a good one.
Yes,
and
that's right.
And she has a lot of hot tub action.
Yes. Well, her big hot tub scene was actually in her season of The Bachelor with Jason.
Right, but even so,
then she was called Hot Tub Harris. I remember the guys were like, "Oh, Hot Tub Harris," it was like amazing. Yeah.
So I'm gonna go Caitlyn, Jillian, and then I love Allie. I thought Allie season was great.
I was gonna say if you don't put Allie on there, then I think, but yeah, you have to put Allie on.
Yeah, and then I think that Emily was pretty good.
Emily was also really good.
And I think JoJo was pretty good too. But JoJo was also because she had the Aaron Rodgers factor. Which
she did have the Aaron Rodgers
which is
factor.
like a really unfair advantage. It's like a legitimate American celebrity. One of the only famous football players.
Do you think? Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that really
I think JoJo is a good Bachelorette. I think if we had more... It's weird if you could put in some of the guys that we've gotten these last few seasons. I think we have a better group of guys. When I say diverse, I don't even just mean ethnicity. I mean just different types of guys. I remember when JoJo, it was right around this time, the hometown dates, and they did the four of them staying together, and it was Chase, it was Luke,
Jordan,
it was Jordan and Robbie. And they were all like, well,
same.
Can you really tell? Yeah, they're all the same.
Same, but different.
I mean, now you got Leo, you got Wills, you have people who are different.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think it's a it's like Allie's season to me was maybe almost a perfect season because you had so many different types of guys.
Sure.
And you had a great Bachelorette.
Yeah.
And I think it's putting all that together, and it's like any kind of cocktail. Sometimes you.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of issues. One is a Bachelorette problem, which is how do you get men more involved in The Bachelorette? Because that's I think a lot of the ratings drop off. Men prefer The Bachelor, anecdotally.
They do, absolutely.
And
they totally do.
Too.
They certainly prefer Bachelor in Paradise too.
Sure. And that's because all of these, like the thing that's missing the most with Becca, me and the sports gal really honed in on this, is the sex factor.
Yes.
It's like a very chaste
So
season.
are you saying to me you think that we'd be doing better, all things considered, with Tia?
Maybe. I also think that Becca doesn't get messy at all. Like she hasn't really seemed flustered.
I think that when you, and maybe we talked about this after this last season and why she handled the Ari thing so well. You know, we've had something like, you know, a parent die early. You've had things, you sort of realize it's like, well, this in the big scheme of things is not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Like I watched my dad die of cancer. Like you guys arguing on a 2-on-1. It's not like, you know, okay, I'm sorry, you know.
Yeah, she's not been a mess at any point, which is even if that is true, which I think that you're right. Like she's been through a lot. She's had like life experience. You're still like sensory deprived, or maybe it's more like overstimulated.
No, there's something, right, exactly.
And she hasn't really had like a breakdown, which you usually get by episode 7.
I remember one of the better breakdowns we were on, I was like, this is where the show is really good, was, this is going way back, Deanna.
Oh, yeah.
After Brad's season. And these guys like had a cookout for her. And for some reason, she just like lost it. They were all confused. You see these guys like flipping, and then she screams, she's like, I'm supposed to be the happiest girl in the world right now. And I'm miserable. How do you feel about that, all of you? And they're like, wait, we don't know what we did. But it was great. Like, we haven't had that breakdown.
Right.
You know?
And Becca, on the other hand, is like telling Chris Harrison, like, things are great. It's going so much better than I could have imagined.
The fact that she says to Chris Harrison last night, this ends up with somebody down on one knee and me saying yes, like 5 months after you doing this and having that was sort of amazing.
Right. Yeah. And so I think that there's like, I don't want to call it an inauthenticity because I think Becca is pretty real, but I think
I think she is real, but I think that doesn't necessarily mean that you're, you know,
it's not captivating.
Yes, exactly. She's a wonderful person.
Yeah, she's
awesome. Great. She's an awesome bachelorette. She's awesome. Yeah. But to your what gives it that spark maybe is missing. Yeah,
like just being a little bit more like a different kind of vulnerability, like vulnerable to like disaster, basically.
No, I also think somebody. You say that, and then I'm like, well, somebody would be perfect for that. But a bachelorette too, or somebody who I think would have been a really good bachelorette was Claire.
Oh yeah, definitely. You know? Would have been a lot of tears.
It would have been a lot of tears. Would have been a lot of that. Like I said, that crazy of the. Are you happy?
Like getting mad.
Happy? Yes,
you kind of want someone with a short fuse, right?
You do.
It's one of the reasons Brad Womack was good, is because he has a really short fuse.
Oh, Brad's crazy.
And so reactive.
As we saw with the Emily thing too, when he proposed to Emily, and then you poked the bear. Yeah, exactly.
I just think of him like pacing in circles and like talking to himself.
Oh, absolutely.
I loved that Brad had his psychologist like on call.
Oh, that was amazing.
That was a great part of it.
Who was also the drummer for the band Go West too.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that part.
Yeah, I think when Go West it didn't follow up King of Wishful Thinking, he was like, well, I better get a backup career. So I'm going to get a, psychology degree.
That's really funny.
Is that amazing?
That was all of those things. I think Becca's like almost too polished, like too good.
Yes, I think there's something to that. But I do think, to your point, we're now getting into episodes. Like last night was a better episode. Yeah. Like now that we're actually getting to real emotions, we've cut sort of the dead weight away.
So a couple of things. Colton, the big virginity reveal.
I am a virgin.
Really? This was the most I've ever liked Becca because she was obviously like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And her having to take some time and walk away was like just kind of amazing. It reminds me of like what a dude would do. Like she wasn't like, that's okay. Like she did come back and say that, but she kind of needed the time to herself to gather her feelings. That was pretty amazing. At what point in the process of vetting Colton do producers find out he's a virgin, or does he lead with that?
Well, I think that's usually when you go in to you go to the airport when we have like whatever it is, 125 people for 25 places. You go and you sort of say to yourself, okay, what is it? If I'm Colton, I'm like, okay, what's going to make me stand out? It's like, well, I'm a virgin.
I love that he used it as like a chip in his favor to get cast, and then was like, I haven't talked about this with most people.
It was this bizarre story. Now, I don't know that he said it. I'm just assuming. I was not there for when he was cast. I was there for certain people, but I was not there on his day. I would remember that. But yeah, I mean, it was a weird thing how he was like it was really hard in the locker room. I had to sort of lie about the fact that I was, and then he's like, but now I realize it makes me special.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, that is,
I went through the hard part of being a virgin. Now it's the great part.
Use it to my advantage.
Yes, exactly.
That was just pretty wild seeing her react to it. I enjoyed it. I was like, yeah, give me this kind of drama.
Wait till next week when Colton asks Chris Harrison what's expected of him in the fantasy suite.
Does he do that?
Yes.
Oh my God.
And boy, Chris Harrison is not ready for that.
That's amazing. What's wrong with Colton? Has he ever seen the show? And there's nothing wrong with him being a virgin. Fine, whatever,
I know.
dude.
Yes, exactly.
But like, what's expected of me?
Right.
Have you ever seen the show?
Don't know.
He definitely has seen the show. Like Colton, you can tell.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah, I mean, he was into Tia for that reason.
Yeah.
So he just really is using it as like a talking point then to build.
Yeah, it's a good talking point. It's like this is me.
Do you believe he's a virgin? Is it possible he's lying?
I think in this day and age, and as we have seen with some of the other controversies or whatever, I don't think you can keep anything hidden anymore.
Right.
The minute this guy says I'm a virgin and somebody says not
actually,
true. Yes, exactly.
That's a good point. We would probably have someone at this point being like, actually, we had sex.
Somebody actually said to me they thought in the previews for next week there's that whole scene with Tia.
Yes.
And somebody says, yeah, it's Tia saying she's not really over Colton, and it was like, I thought that she was going to say we slept together. I'm like, oh my God, no. Yeah. No, you can't keep that hidden.
It's true. Someone would be like Facebook post or Instagram post, like with the receipts, some pictures or something like that.
It may have been quick, but it happened.
Seriously. The other thing about Colton is he was just like, I put all of my time into being an athlete and I didn't have time for girlfriends. I've never dated an athlete. Always wanted to, though. They have plenty of time for girlfriends.
I've never heard of that when he goes yes. Well, he also sort of contradicts himself too, where he's like, it was so hard in the locker room. All the guys are done, but so which is it? But yeah, that I had never heard of.
Like, spend 5 minutes around professional athletes and they have tons of girlfriends.
When he keeps talking about, I think the one thing that sort of was sincere is he doesn't know who personal Colton is, and he's trying to mold himself after. Like on The Bachelor, I feel like he's like, well, I'm in the Sean Lowe mold.
Yeah.
And I think in life, he's like, I'm in the Tim Tebow mold.
Yeah.
And I think he's looking at that stuff is all I can sort of surmise.
He seems like he was created in a lab and recently introduced to the world.
He absolutely does. Yes, exactly.
Like he's trying to, he was unfrozen.
Twins? Yeah, with Arnold Schwarzenegger and yeah, he's like that.
Or like Blast from the Past with Brendan Fraser.
Yes, I love that movie.
When he comes out of the bunker.
Yeah, that's right, and he knows nothing.
That's kind of like Colton.
That's right, that's Colton. Although he does seem to be a little kind of salty is not the right word, but like he's got a personality on Twitter.
I was going to say he seems like he's got some rage inside of him, which is maybe because he's not having sex.
Yes, exactly. There's a cure for that. Exactly.
But he seems like he's got some kind of inner anger.
I think that might be right.
That maybe will come out. I felt Brad had that too. I actually think Colton, because he's a virgin, would be a good bachelor. That would be a real twist.
The Virgin Bachelor, I know, it's interesting. We sort of tried to play that up with Sean Lowe, if you remember, because he was born again virgin. But that was like ridiculous because he wasn't actually a virgin. Yes, exactly.
I think that if you were going to do that though, and not to be like too gross or crass, but you'd have to like Colton promise us you will actually have sex in the fantasy suite.
That's right, exactly.
Because then like him losing his virginity would have to become a part of the show.
Oh my God, that'd be so crazy. Right, we're going to consider this. We're going to put this under consideration.
Him. I like Becca. I don't want him to do anything he's uncomfortable with.
No, of course not.
But
oh my God,
the way that like sex is not a part of the show for the first 6 episodes, and then like a huge part of it for the last 4, I just feel like the reason Caitlyn was so good was because she and Nick broke the show.
Yeah,
they had sex so early, and then they were forced to stay in Ireland for so long.
Yeah,
and it was
the whole thing off. Yes, exactly.
It was unforgettable. Also, I'll never forget the Ben Higgins's post fantasy suite walk. He's like with his chin held very high.
Yes, that's right.
He's wearing like sweatpants, like pushed up. I'll never forget it. His chin is just no one's ever walked with so much pride before.
No, there was a lot of it was like Tom Hanks and Big, like when he was, exactly.
And I think that's one of the reasons that was a fun show.
Yeah,
and I also think that men relate to that because of like I think there's like the sexuality of it is a little bit more enticing.
That was also another thing too. I agree with that, and also the men on that season too were very
great group of guys.
Nick, Sean, Caitlyn, Sean, whatever his name is.
Sean Booth.
Sean Booth, yes, thank you.
We called him Ryan Schnozling back in the day.
Yeah, I know. Ugh. mean.
It was Nick,
Ben Higgins.
Sean Higgins.
We even had like Cupcake.
Ben Zorn.
The doctor, Ben Zorn.
Around a lot.
Tanner. Who was Jared. Like, Tanner was like one of those guys. Jared, oh my God.
It was a great season.
That was a murderer's row of guys.
It basically like turned Paradise into a thing because she had so many guys to send there.
Yes, that's right. Exactly.
Was Wells? No, Wells was with JoJo.
Wells was JoJo.
But yeah, that was like a very that was the GOAT of Bachelorette seasons.
Yeah, you might be right. Now that you say that, absolutely.
The other big reveal that I was really not expecting, the Colton one, we're all waiting for him to talk about his virginity.
Blake's family?
Blake's family.
Yeah, I know. That's
Poor
something else,
Blake.
huh? I know. Oh my gosh.
So Blake reveals that his parents were together and then they got divorced. And while
no, they didn't get divorced. They were together, and then she started.
She had a relationship with the teacher at his school, basketball coach / English teacher. Yes, and then they got divorced. Yes, I presume.
Yeah,
and Blake was like, yeah, I was I believe I was sophomore in high school, so 15 or 16. And he was kind of like being a little vague with the details and then dropped the bomb. And I was just thinking, there's no way you don't remember exactly where you were and exactly how old you were when you found this out. Because it's so traumatic. He was
sort of saying that like there were like whispers around town.
Yeah.
Like he's found it from friends and things like that. Yeah, it sounds awful.
Awful. I really, really feel for him.
And so if I've learned anything, it's that I want the openness in the family. I don't want to raise my kids that way. I want to put family first over everything.
Put him in a very different light.
Yes. What do you think about Blake?
I think he reminds me of like more cerebral Dean. He seems like
you're not the first to say that either. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah.
He seems like he would fit in well in Venice and he would kill it in LA. He seems like kind of the most normal, but now that I know he has like this really tragic high school experience, I think he's more interesting.
He didn't seem really fazed by it either. Like where he's like oh my God, it still scarred me.
Yeah, I think when that kind of thing happens, well, I don't know. My parents are still together, but I think you like have to like figure out a way to like just move on, like push it down.
It's not even like but the fact that it's like your basketball coach and your English teacher, like somebody that's in your life on a daily basis.
It's like a
already,
tour. It's pretty
crazy.
Yes, it's like a real Lifetime movie.
Yeah,
waiting to happen.
And you do wonder, how did this even get started? Like, was she at a parent-teacher conference and like realizing that at a basketball game? Like,
so I like seeing Blake dance because I have felt that Blake
to the Bahamas.
Yeah, that was so funny.
I know.
I liked how Becca was acting like the Bahamas was like extremely foreign.
So this is what I said. I've been saying this because wait, where are you from again?
I'm from New York.
So you're from the East Coast too?
Yeah, so like everyone goes to the East Coast.
It's like everyone goes to the Bahamas.
It's like going to Florida. Exactly. I've actually never been, but like I'm also like I don't really care. It's like going to Florida.
But on the East Coast, we go to Florida too. But exactly. I'm trying to think what the West Coast equivalent. I guess it's like
Bahamas?
Tijuana or something like that.
I think it's Cabo.
Cabo, yes, exactly.
I think because people are just like, I'm just going to Cabo or whatever.
Yeah, I'm going to Cabo. It's like just
2
a place
hours
you go
away.
To. It's easy. It's not too highfalutin. It's not really expensive.
There's high end, there's low end, there's middle.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
exactly.
And the Bahamas is exactly the same way.
Yes, but she was like, this is like a bucket list place.
Yeah, I know. And I was just like, really? Like, dream bigger, girl.
Exactly, yeah.
Not that special.
No, exactly. But it was nice to go to a place where you could have hot tubs and bathing suits and stuff like that.
Did she get really bad weather the whole time?
She got really bad weather.
You could tell. So when I was like late April, Richmond
even
snow.
in LA.
Yeah, it rained,
like that was the Richard Marx Day was inaudible.
Oh,
like,
it
that was supposed to be something else outdoor. I can't remember exactly.
Oh, that's funny.
But it was.
That's interesting because I was like, why do they have 2 songwriting dates in one season?
There you go. That's fine. Wayne Newton was always playing Richard Marx.
Richard Marx, that's the best you could get in Los Angeles.
Come on, be nice. I was so excited when they told me Richard Marx. Maybe I was like, oh, that's so amazing, Richard Marx.
I liked that it was nearby. It was here in Hollywood.
Yeah, right.
I was kind of offended I didn't get the heads up though. Like I could have walked over to the Capitol Records building.
Next time I'll
Thank you.
Let you know.
What do I have to do to get the invite? You know,
we'll get you there. Don't worry.
Thank you so much. But so they go to the Bahamas. She and Blake are on the date with the Who Let the Dogs Out band, which is just a great song.
The Baha Men, absolutely.
The Baha Men.
Brought you back. But I love how like contractually part of it was they also need to play their new song Bamba or whatever it was called.
Which wasn't bad.
Not bad at all.
I was like, this is a pleasant song. Okay. So I was happy that Blake got that date because up until this point, a lot of people seem to be into Blake. And by people, I mean my friends who watch the show.
I've been hearing a lot of that. And I feel like, is it a sneaky thing? Because like, I'm like, I haven't noticed it. And then.
Well, he has no swagger, which I think is why you're kind of confused by it. But when I saw him dancing, I was like, oh, he's got some good moves.
But he
There's
might
a swagger inside
I also think
there.
one of the things we've done is we've focused much more on drama that really has nothing to do with the show.
It's
like
true.
Chris and Lincoln and things like that really didn't further the show as much.
That's
and
one
then
of the
I
biggest
think
problems.
that somebody like Blake suffers from
Yes.
that because you don't get to see any swag until he's
Yes.
dancing to Baha Men.
Do you give those notes to the
sometimes you don't notice it. Sometimes you watch it and you're in the moment and you're
Yeah.
like, look, it's on I do watch the episode. I could give that note. I mean, I was like, well, this seems, really good. Like this, this is even the way we're doing 2-on-1s. Like it seems like, okay, this is good. It's the 2 guys with the most tension in the house. And then you look at it afterwards. And it's much easier to see these things after millions of people watched it, and you can go on Twitter and get an aggregate of, well, I don't really want to see that. And then you're like, well, maybe we need to put people who are more about furthering their relationship with Becca and not just the, I don't like you. So I don't really care if I get a rose from Becca. I just want to make it known that you're horrible. Yeah. So
yeah, it's true. Like it takes away from also like the fantasy that I think a lot of people, a lot of viewers are invested in. Like you don't have as much time to think about like Becca and actual potentials because you're just like you're mired thinking about like how ridiculous Jordan is. Like someone like Jordan is better in my opinion as like a secondary character instead of primary because he's like a dramatic
Although
flourish.
I do think there's this sincerity to like what you see is what you get with him. He's not like Waboom, who clearly was on there to like further a catchphrase.
To sell t-shirts, probably.
T-shirt. No, that's exactly right.
That's true. Like Jordan, it seems like Jordan is invested in who he is.
There absolutely, it's a sincerity to Jordan, but is he somebody that you see as like, oh my God, Becca's going to pick him? No, probably not unless he'd done something. I mean, Becca sort of did. You saw in that 2-on-1, she took him to dinner and then was like, well, maybe there's a Hail Mary. Maybe there's one thing I haven't missed. And no, there wasn't.
Right.
So I think that sometimes the show suffers because of that.
Right. And also,
but it's also hard. It's a fine line because it's also like this is boring.
Right.
Like this one-on-one is boring.
Right.
This is horrible.
Well, it makes the dates like secondary though, because you're like, well, obviously Jordan's like if Jordan's not on a date or he's clearly not going to win, it sort of makes like the actual competition of it.
That's right.
Like an ancillary aspect of the show.
Absolutely.
And just watching like, I think loser dudes fight is not that exciting.
No,
I think that's
isn't.
why people like Blake though, because he's clearly not like a quote unquote. I use the word loser very loosely and broadly.
No,
but
that's right.
Blake is not one. He seems like a nice guy. He seems thoughtful. He seems nervous.
No, I think Blake is very thoughtful. Look, when it really works, it's great. Like somebody like Chad was great because there was something sort of real about him.
Yes, Chad was also
potentially he was like 20 degrees away from being a contender. And what was great was his cardinal sin was he said something about Jordan.
Right.
Or Jordan said, and he pissed her off about Jordan, and that was good. She was like, oh, get out.
He's out.
Yeah.
And he ate the meat, which was just a great small touch.
Meat. That was amazing. Yeah, exactly.
Hilarious.
It's hard. So it's hard, Everyone is certainly trying their best, but sometimes it doesn't,
doesn't hit.
Doesn't quite hit. Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think last night was good for Blake and for his Bachelor potential because we got to know him a little bit more. And I like I said, I was like, oh, on this date, he's got something. Like he's fun. Yeah. He's got some moves because he just seemed like so nervous because, and I thought he had like no game, but I'm like, oh, maybe he does actually. Okay.
And he also had not the worst elements, but he had the first one-on-one.
Right.
And then you kind of
what did they do?
A little bit.
I don't even remember it.
Gosh.
He seems like a nice guy, though.
Yeah, I think he's very nice.
He's the one that everyone is most interested in dating, like IRL, as
I've
they
seen
say.
I've seen that. That's what I've seen. I've seen a lot of that, which I was sort of surprised by. I was like, wow, but apparently, yeah.
He's cute. He dresses normally. I get it. He's just sort of like he's attractive, but like you would go up to him at a bar and talk to him. Like he's not too hot. He's not too sculpted. As far as I can tell.
He feels real.
Yes,
and that is a good thing for. Like you said, with Bachelor potential, like that's where I think the show sort of stayed on and what's helped it is that these are, now you can take guys who are real guys, who feel real. That's what Jason Mesnick was. That's what.
Love Jason.
Because it used to be the Andrew Firestone or Jesse Palmer, these people that, it's like, well, you really don't even need this show. Like you could actually date 25 women.
You're good.
Yes, at once. You're good.
Get out there.
Yeah, exactly. So I think there is that I agree with you on Blake.
Yeah, he seems like a good dude.
All the guys too. Jason, I think, has that too.
Jason, friends with Gronk, huh?
Friends with Gronk.
Did you know that?
Absolutely.
Is this your ploy to get closer to Gronk? You're a Patriots fan.
I am, and we tried everything we could. I've had Gronk on enough of our stuff. He was on Shark Tank. He was on Family Feud. So I've had my moments with Gronk.
Got it.
But we tried so hard to get him on night one come out of the limo.
That would have been incredible.
And it was, believe me, it was in the works, and then I forget something happened.
Yeah, timing-wise could have worked. It was in March.
Oh, no, it was totally timing-wise worked, everything. Like
damn, that would have been epic.
Wouldn't that have been great? I know.
Yeah.
Would have put Chris and his gospel choir to shame.
Seriously.
It's so good.
Oh my goodness. Let's talk about more of the kind of issues that have plagued this season.
Yes.
But first, let's talk about today's sponsors. Today's episode is also brought to you by our friends at Hotel Tonight. If you love to score amazing deals at incredible hotels, you'll love Hotel Tonight. Hotel Tonight partners with hotels to help them sell their unsold rooms, helping you find sweet deals at cool, top-rated hotels. Hotel Tonight shows you the best deals at hotels you actually want to stay at. No more scrolling through endless lists of choices. Even though their name's Hotel Tonight, they're not just for last-minute bookings. You can book in advance. It's perfect for planners and procrastinators alike. Hotel Tonight is perfect for spontaneous weekend getaways, staycations, 3-day weekends, road trips, business bookings, and more. It's so easy to use. Book hotels in 10 seconds in just 3 taps and a swipe. There's even the HT Perks program where the more you book, the better the deals get. I love Hotel Tonight. This coming weekend, I'm thinking about doing a staycation here in the Los Angeles area by the beach, and what better app to use than Hotel Tonight to find a place to stay? You could do this too. Get the Hotel Tonight app now to start scoring amazing deals at incredible hotels. That's Hotel Tonight, the only booking app you need. And now back to the show. All right, let's talk about casting. Alyssa Bereznak actually wrote an article about this on the site yesterday. It was very good. Check it out.
Yes, I will. Thank you.
Lincoln,
yeah.
No bueno. He's so much worse than Garrett, in my opinion. Garrett's like a difference of opinion. Lincoln,
No. Garrett is a difference of opinion. I think, look, had we known about, we didn't know about any of this stuff.
Sure.
Had we known about it.
With Lincoln,
maybe there, even Garrett, like with Garrett, there might have been a debate about Garrett. Like there might have been a debate, like, is this, do I think probably we would have said no? Yes. I mean, which is obviously, and now he's still on the show. So
he's top 4.
It's a weird thing of like and
got the first impression.
Who wouldn't have been on the show, right? Lincoln, obviously, no. Lincoln never would have been on.
Well, how does that happen with Lincoln? Like, explain how casting works, basically.
Well, what happens is, and it's not dissimilar actually to if you're applying for a job. I assume that at the Ringer you do background checks.
Yeah.
And I've had to do it with the Walt Disney Company.
Sure,
like everyone does it. So it works. You go in. It's actually though more thorough than a job because obviously there's a blood test for any STDs.
Right.
There's a psych test. There's all this stuff that goes on. But you do a background check the way you would do anything. You give, here's where I've lived in the last
Social Security number.
All that stuff. And you do sort of these searches in these places. And nothing, I mean, look, I don't have all the details and certainly, we've been getting them. At first it was like this case was sealed because it was sexual in nature. Which then it wouldn't have come up no matter what search we did. I don't think that was the case, but I do think it was a thing. He was on like vacation or something, so it was not a place.
He was on a cruise, I think.
Yeah, so it wasn't a place where he lived. So it wasn't one of the searches we did. And obviously we need to figure this out because you don't want this to happen. I mean, I wish that the worst thing for me, and maybe nobody knows, because obviously when people come forward with this stuff, we do make changes. I mean, that's the thing that's frustrating is there's why isn't this person on? Or why isn't this person on? Or why can't this person be part of this show? And it's like, well, we found out something. And but even when it's something completely minor, it's like, really, honestly, we don't need the headaches that we now have with something like Lincoln.
It's also like, obviously morally wrong. Now he's convicted.
No, the whole thing.
In addition to that, it's not like
but
it's good for
I'm
the
talking
show.
about when there's things that aren't morally wrong. When there's things like, we could do this, but it just doesn't feel right.
Is there an example that you can share of that?
No, it's not fair to somebody. But there's people, it's like that's what's so funny. Where it's like, we're just choosing not to put people on, or But I do think with this, with the Lincoln thing, he was actually one of the guys on the live after the conference.
Remember.
And why didn't somebody, look, the blame is clearly on us.
Sure.
But it's like, I wish somebody had said, this guy was, they go and they give other people tips. Like, tell us.
Right.
And I think we want to try and implement that. Like, do we put something in line where it's like, look, if you know something, do we put the people out earlier? Do we say, like, if there's something anyone wants to tell us, please let us know. Because obviously we could have made the adjustment with Lincoln right then. Right. Like it would have been great. He never would have been on the show.
Right. You could have been like, sorry, actually, things.
Yeah.
I think that would have been production wise, like actually would have been interesting. I mean, I don't want to like turn this into content.
We wouldn't even have made it a big thing. I mean, it would have been like, what happened to that Lincoln guy? Clearly it would have come out. I don't think we would have made it part of the show. I think we would have put it in some kind of press release. If somebody asked, we'd say, look, we found out something in his background we didn't know. He's not on the show anymore. Right.
And
so
I mean, that makes sense.
Look, it was a bummer. And I mean, it's horrible to talk about it like, God, this made the show really hard. Yeah. It didn't. I mean, I feel bad for, some poor girl who was actually, assaulted, and this was horrible. And for us to then present this as a viable husband for Becca is also, it's not a good look for us.
Sure. Not
it's
fair
not a
to
good
her.
thing to do. It's not fair to her. It is a, I mean, that's why we've got to make sure that we're doing better.
Sure. So
even though, again, this is not something, this is a thing where it's like, there really was nothing done wrong here, where it was just, this is what is done, but that doesn't mean that we need to figure out, okay, how do we figure this out in the future?
Will Warner Brothers use a different casting agency going forward, or a different process? Like, are there changes being made?
I think all this stuff is being looked at. The I hate to say, like, the good thing about this is, but we have a long ways to Bachelor, so we have time to put things in place.
Right, casting for that doesn't happen until like late August, right?
No, it'll happen a little bit before then, but it'll go up till then because we don't start filming till end of September.
Right. What did Becca say when that came out about Lincoln? Like, does she reach out to the producers? I actually don't know.
She hasn't said anything, but I mean, she may have talked to producers and they probably explained what happened and said, we're sorry. There really was nothing that we did everything we normally do.
Right.
To me, the thing that we really that is able to find out that we need to work better on is the social media stuff.
Right.
Because that stuff that's out there, it's out in the open. That you should be able to find. Like anybody, that's out to the world.
That should be someone's job. Probably two people, to be honest.
No, I think that is the type of, that's what's going to happen.
Right.
Is that this will be scrubbed. I mean, it's weird because you look at each instance with this thing. Like with the Lee thing, it was like, how in God's name do we not find this?
Yeah.
It's like, well, we don't think to scrub social media. So then we scrub social media. And then it was like, well, you can't find likes.
Well, unless you're a stalker like me, but that...
Right. But even then, I don't even know. They were like, but now, obviously, we're going to find that out. So that stuff will happen.
Some of the Instagram stuff, like the finding likes, is a matter of chance in some ways because you have to, like, because when you are scrolling through your feed, someone you know or a celebrity will pop up as like, Juliet, Litman, and 5,000 other people like
yes, that's right.
That
is
it. So it is a little hard.
How the thing happened with Garrett was, it was somebody who either had an axe to grind. Again, didn't come to us and say, there are people, like I said, there are people who come to us and say, this person maybe shouldn't be on the show. This is, they come to somebody else.
Yeah, they go to Reality Steve or
right,
Ashley
and
Spivey.
they show a bunch of like screenshots. It's like, okay, well, tell us. Like, we don't think this is good.
Yeah,
So,
would you ever like reach out to Ashley Spivey and be like, instead of going to Reality Steve, like come to us? Like, what's her relationship like?
Well,
with the
I know
show?
Ashley well. I love Ashley.
Yeah,
she's
she
absolutely
seems great.
fantastic. She's amazing
because she's the one who broke with Reality.
She was.
Steve
well, she didn't do it
stuff.
with Garrett, and she did actually reach out afterwards, just say, my God, do you think this is true? This is horrible. I just said, no, I'm really sick about this. I don't know, but obviously we're looking into it. The Lincoln thing, I don't know. I wish she had said, this is true. Or somebody had said, God, what's the story? I mean, I think she sort of knew, like, there's no way we would put this on. Like, we would have put him on. So,
right. Because she's been through the process.
Yeah. But look, if people are going to start reaching out to Ashley, like, tell us, don't.
She was on Sean's season, right?
No, she was on Brad Womack too.
Oh, BW2. Got it.
BW too. And absolutely amazing. I mean, she stands for the best of what you want a Bachelor contestant to be. Like, smart.
Yeah.
Really just a good person.
I think the other Ashley too, Ashley Hebert. She was a good one.
They were best friends.
Yeah, they were, right?
She was in her wedding.
Oh,
yeah.
That's lovely. How lovely.
It's always bizarre when somebody's in a
Ashley.
wedding. That's always like Leslie Murphy too being in.
Catherine's wedding?
Leslie Murphy, who set a Guinness World Record with Sean for the longest kiss, then is in the wedding of Sean and Catherine.
I love her, by the way. Leslie Murphy. She was great.
Murphy
she lived up to all my expectations. I'll have to try to befriend her, I think, as well.
The best. Yes,
I think that she and Ben should date. I don't know what they're waiting on.
I think Ben is still really
not ready.
Not ready, yeah.
Okay.
And then now it's like, well, Dean has been there, so maybe it's, I don't know.
That didn't last that long, though.
Didn't last that long, but I wonder if he's like, well, she tried with Dean. I think Dean is just not ready. Yes. I loved Leslie and Dean as a couple.
Me too. They were great.
But I can tell you about Winter Games too. Every guy was like. Leslie was like the one.
She seems like a fun
such
time.
A catch, yeah,
and she's smart. She's smart.
She's well
real personality.
Yeah, absolutely.
She really is great. So with the Garrett stuff, do you think he probably would not have been cast? You said probably no.
Well, I look at something like that, and you do you say like, gosh.
Becca is
that's
liberal.
Somebody, she's liberal.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't mean, look, there are certain people, Mary Madeline and James Carville
that's
are people that, it's not like this guy voted for Trump. I mean, that's not bad. Opposites can attract.
Sure.
But it is gosh, why is he like it? I mean, but again, I don't know. And obviously, I think as we get to things like Men Tell All and stuff, we'll talk to Garrett and we'll hear about this stuff and we will ask him and say, it's like, can you forgive somebody who says like, I sort of didn't know what I was liking. I kind of thought it was funny or this came across and I did this.
It's tough.
And is he sincere? It's a weird thing. I think that we need to know it. I mean, look, my instinct right now would be like, no, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Like, that's just... I'm sorry, it's just not cool.
Yeah, it's tough because on the one hand, a like of a photo is like so passive and so minor, but on the other hand, it speaks to like the kind of content you consume and the type of like what you're interacting with.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot before I even knew you. Like I knew stuff about you because of what you liked or what you talk about on social media. It's like,
absolutely.
It is who we are.
It's a part of who you are. Yeah.
It is a part of who you are.
It's so funny, like working in digital media, I feel like I struggle with like who people are online versus who they are
the
in
struggle
person.
Is real, absolutely.
But they are both separate, but of a whole. Like you can't you can acknowledge that someone's online persona is objectively better or worse.
Is your online persona that that thing of like
is that your truest self?
A drunk man's words is a sober man's thoughts.
Yeah.
It's like is it right? Is your online persona your real self?
Right. Like, is that the projection or is the person or the real person
right, exactly.
in the flesh the projection? It's like a Black Mirror episode.
It is a total Black Mirror episode, exactly.
But I think with reality TV, it introduces like a whole third dimension where it's the person that you are in interactions. There's the online persona, and then there's the in front of the camera persona. And those are three categories.
Harder thing for us too, because it's like, Big Brother is dealing with some of this too, but it's like Big Brother is a social experiment. Like there's garbage people in all walks of life.
Of course.
This is not that. This is a girl that we put through the ringer 6 months ago, and now we should be, bring out the absolute best people for her to get her happy ending.
Yeah. And we did see, it feels like so long ago that she had her heart broken on national television.
Yes, exactly.
Can only imagine how she feels. I mean, it was 4 months ago.
LeBron was in Cleveland for crying out loud. My God, it was a different world.
It's true. LeBron was in Cleveland and I still thought the Cavs might not go to the finals. It was totally different.
That was also amazing. Jeez. I mean, that was, that was a miracle. Anyway, I don't get sidetracked on that. Jesus.
The pod.
Yes.
If you guys aren't trying to do a reality show with LeBron, what's the point?
Do you think he's going to do it though? Yeah. He wouldn't do it.
He
wants to be a mogul. He does not want to be.
You'd have to do it with Uninterrupted or like with Spring Hill, his companies. Like I think he has. He will always own a piece of everything he does going forward. Yes, which is smart. We
are doing Dancing with the Stars Juniors this fall, and we tried so hard to get one of LeBron's sons on.
Oh my God, I feel like Bryce would be better for it than
that was who we wanted.
The younger one. Yeah,
absolutely. And if you're listening, LeBron or Bryce, offer still stands. Anyway,
I've got some other ideas on celebrity kids you could have on, though.
Oh, great!
Yeah, I mean the whole Banana Boat. They all have like really interesting, talented kids.
Trust me. Oh, we wanted CP4.
I call him CP4, Chris Paul Jr.
We wanted him very badly.
Oh, interesting.
Any of these people? Yeah.
Well,
please.
what about Riley Curry? Because Aisha's already in the ABC
Riley
family.
But I think she's just a bit too young. I think hopefully season 2, fingers crossed. Yes,
you need like the 10-year-old.
8 is, I think, the earliest we're going. But oh my God, Riley Curry would be amazing.
Yeah, she would be great.
Aisha's somebody that we've always talked to about dancing. She's actually sort of thought about it, and then she's like, well, I'm gonna have the kid and everything. Like, so maybe one of these seasons, 2 or 3 years from now, we do Riley on the Little Show and Aisha on the Big Show.
That would be amazing. I'm a big Aisha Curry fan. I used to not be, but now I'm like all in.
By the way, the whole thing of like oh my God, I hope she's as good as advertised. Amazing.
She seems
great.
She
is so awesome.
She's
great.
Think she seems like I like her mom persona. Speaking of personas, the way that who she projects as a mom, I think is like
I think that's who she is.
Is pretty seems very real as well. Yeah. I'm very into her.
And it's amazing how she sort of like it's sort of given Steph almost like a backseat. Steph is like nothing compared to as opposed to say LeBron or CP3.
Sure.
And these guys. Aisha is clearly the person. We had them on Family Feud a few weeks ago.
Yeah, how was
Aisha
that?
should have been the head of the family. Honestly.
Do you know about the Rivers Curry relationship?
No.
Callie Rivers
has
a daughter, I believe it's a girl, with Seth Curry, Steph's brother.
Oh my God, you're kidding me.
I swear.
Wow.
Yes, they're together.
That is amazing.
They just had a baby.
That's incredible.
It's really gone under the radar, but whatever.
Clearly, I know. I had no clue.
I've been talking about it a lot. This is like, I just think it's like kind of.
It seems like an obsession you would have.
Yes, thank you. I looked at their baby registry, in fact.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Wow.
We're really getting sidetracked with The Bachelor.
I know. I feel like this is what happens, but okay.
I know. It's fine.
Yeah, back to controversies.
Back to
exactly.
No wonder you want to redirect the conversation.
That's right.
Another thing I've been wondering about this season is Becca drinking significantly less than past Bachelorettes in the wake of the Corinne scandal.
It would have nothing to do with that. I mean, she can. There's a limit. I think she's just she just knows who she is. She's probably like, I have not talked to her. I don't know if she's like, I know what happens. I get 5. Like some people, it's not even like I get out of control. It's just I feel like shit. Right. It's just horrible. Yeah, I just find that I don't like when I drink.
Sure. Yeah, because there's not been a moment where I'm like, oh, they're sauced up. Even in Vegas.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely.
Maybe with some of the guys, but it doesn't seem like they're drinking as much.
No, I don't think so either. And I think that, like, I hate to say, like, it was attached to a scandal last season when there wasn't a scandal other than somebody reporting something they thought may have happened and then didn't. And then it led to these weird, sort of drinking things.
Sure.
But I think everyone certainly gets enough alcohol that they need, but nobody has gone crazy yet. We even like night one, you always have the guy who's like asleep in the corner. Like haven't had that in a while. No, we haven't. Like we haven't had that in a while. So
someone like Leo, who was in soft porn, that has to be known when he's cast, right?
I don't remember hearing that. And we had somebody who was on
it's on his IMDb, High Heels Homicide.
So I don't know if you look at that, you're like, well, maybe that's that movie with Harrison Ford and Josh Hartnett. Yes,
love that movie. That was called Hollywood Homicide.
I know it was. Yes, exactly. By the way, I've never actually heard to someone who's seen the movie. So
I think I might have seen it twice.
Oh God, okay.
There's a scene at the Venice Canals, and I'd never been to California when I saw the movie, so I was like, oh, how fascinating.
The canals are awesome.
And Smokey Robinson is the ringtone for Harrison Ford's phone in that movie, and that was like when ringtones were a thing.
Yeah,
I don't know. Good movie. Recommend it.
Good. I'm gonna check it out. So anyway, but Leo not in that movie.
No,
he was in something else.
High Heels Homicide.
High Heels Homicide. That's something, I do need to ask afterwards and find out. I mean, but I don't know, like, is that something?
No.
Leo certainly was a good character. He's a good guy.
Sure.
Is it something, clearly it hasn't been a thing,
right?
Like where it's been picked up and everyone said like, I can't believe that this person.
It's sort of like, you don't know what questions to ask until you haven't asked it and you wish you knew.
Yes.
So with Becca, I was going to ask you, like, would you guys ever consider giving her like a dossier on each dude? Like, here's who they follow. Like, here are like who the accounts they follow.
No, it's interesting. It would make it interesting because to your point, okay, now I know. So yeah, if I'm the Bachelor and you're on and I'm giving this, I'm like, okay, I know she likes this, and this. I'm not tall. She clearly likes basketball players. Like, am I? So
sure.
It's sort of interesting. Like, it will lead to talking points.
Yeah, because it will. On the one hand, it would like more closely mimic what dating is like. Like there's certain information available to you.
Now in the world, back then, like when The Bachelor started, that wasn't it.
Sure.
Like that
Speed
was
dating was still like you get like a video at home.
That was right. Exactly. Yeah. So there is that. But now to your point, you think, you think, you can find out a lot about somebody.
You really can. I mean,
it's an interesting idea, I have to say.
Because like it would be interesting if like it was. I remember my freshman year in college, Facebook had been around for like, I was like the first class to have it for all 4 years.
That was always a big thing, yes.
Yeah.
When it's like, our school got Facebook, yeah.
Right. But so I remember on Halloween, someone dressed up as a Facebook profile, and it was such a funny thing to do because it was still relatively new.
God, yeah.
And so like the information that people like would put, that this girl put on like her Halloween costume was like kind of in retrospect, like funny to think about. Like what then seemed relevant to like put in a profile.
Yes.
And I think it would be really cool and different if you guys did do that. Like, here's like
we have
3
those things
points.
that we put out.
The bios.
Sure. And it's like, even that's interesting. My favorite movie is The Cutting Edge or whatever it is, and it's like, okay, that tells me, it's a great movie.
Yeah. So like and also then Becca or whomever going forward wouldn't be starting from zero. Like there'd be like a couple of ways, like there'd be like ways into conversation more quickly. But then what I was going to say is like, so you give her like 3 facts. The 4th fact that she doesn't get, like who knows what that is? Like, that's
really interesting.
Like, like I'm just saying, like something else would inevitably come up because you don't know to ask until you didn't.
Well, you don't say like on Blake's. It wouldn't be like the mom Left Dad for basketball coach / English teacher.
Yeah.
It would be more the cursory stuff that you'd find on a first date.
Right. Like what you get from a Google search. Like, worked at Salesforce, or, they lived in San Francisco.
Yes, exactly.
I hate San Francisco. Like, what do they
That's
think?
Right.
Those basically, like, do you do a session where, like, the next day, they had the day off after the first night, right?
Yeah.
So, like, maybe, like, Becca wakes up, she's in her glasses, sits down at the computer, and she just does, like, a 2-hour deep dive. She just does Googles, like, the 17 remaining dudes.
The way you call it a session, I'm just like, you're talking about, like, Clockwork Orange, we're scrapping the man and playing draft sites. It's like, here we go, here's this next guy.
Well, it could be
so it's a casual session.
You could get it sponsored.
So you think it is, I will say, that's an interesting thing to do it after night one.
Yeah, after night one. So
it's like you met the people, it's like, who do you want to know more about?
Who are you interested in?
Yeah.
And then you pick a room wherever she is. You get it sponsored, like the social media deep dive suite brought to you by Dove. And
Dove.
And like we all get like a few talking points, and then you do the Googling in advance. So like also like if something has come up, or like Becca's scrolling through on her phone, she's like, oh, they liked this, like, oh, we both follow this account.
Yeah.
You can find some red flags.
Yeah.
I'm making this up on the fly, by the way.
No, it's good. It's certainly a good thought starter.
So I also just think their sponsorship possibilities are real.
Yes, I know. You know all about that. So
soon The Bachelor, I think, I obviously you get locations for free. Lots of discussion about how and why The Bachelorette ended up in Richmond. And
it just was, it was a nice place on the way to Bahamas.
There was an article
they offered a thing.
that said it was like worth $37 million in PR for Richmond, Virginia or something.
It's insane. Yeah, it's crazy.
How does that...
the one place we've always been dying to go, because we get these trade outs.
Yeah.
And because it means so much for these
Explain what a trade out is.
So trade out is, all right, we're going to give you all of your stuff, your rooms and your airfare and all the places you need, the place for the dates, all that stuff.
Right.
So that comes in. So you get them with different places. And domestic is actually much harder than international.
Right, because they don't need it.
Yes. But the one place...
Like, do you have to pay for the ARIA, or is that a trade out?
No, that's a trade out.
Okay.
So the one place that was really, really hard that we've always wanted to go to, and somebody screwed it up for us, was Australia.
Oh.
And that was because they said, we're still recovering from when we paid all this money for Oprah.
Oh my God.
The last season, and it just never really paid off. We're still having a hard time there.
That's too bad. Not even like the Outback or something?
Maybe someplace.
Because, Survivor did the Outback.
They did the
season
Outback.
2.
That was season 2, but that was like, that's
season.
much easier. Yes, it was the best. Jerry Manthe.
Very good one. Elizabeth Hasselbeck.
Was she season 2?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
She was just like a nice
at that point,
sneaker developer, sneaker designer. She just worked at Nike.
So crazy.
And she was close with the old guy. I forget his name.
Oh, right.
It was like George or something like that.
Yes, I think it was George, yeah.
But I forget why I brought this up. The Richmond.
Trade outs. And so that's why we went to Richmond. So you make a map of the different places and we see who we can get trade outs and who's looking, for stuff. And
you guys should have gone to Colonial Williamsburg. That would have been funny.
Could have been interesting. I think.
Have you ever been there?
No, but it's one of those places
It's like Disney World, but like for colonial stuff.
Yes, that's right, exactly.
And no roller coasters. But there's like glass blowing.
Yeah, there's guys butter churning and things like that. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. That actually could have been fun.
It would have been funny.
It'd be amazing. Do Bachelor in Colonial Williamsburg, like Bachelor in Paradise, but Bachelor in Colonial Williamsburg.
Oh my God. Have you ever seen like Manor House, the BBC show?
Yes, and things like that. It was 1850s, 1857.
Exactly. And they make you like live in like the old conditions.
Oh yeah, would that be amazing?
It would be incredible.
We talk about that.
So
the Bachelor can be applied to really any sort of format or thing or whatever.
Yeah.
Like we could totally have them go and do like that type of thing. It's like, okay, you're going to live like you lived in the 1800s. Be so good.
They would be so pissed. Like, I came for like this wonderful deluxe suite in Las Vegas.
My God, that'd be amazing.
Now.
I know.
Or like, what if they had to like stay off strip or something like that? Or
yes,
in like old Las Vegas,
downtown.
Yeah,
you're at the Golden Nugget. Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah.
It would be really funny.
Yeah, it'd be amazing.
I do think like introducing more elements that are akin to dating in the 21st century would be kind of fascinating.
Well, I think because we need to remember The Bachelor's been on for
since the year
16 years.
Yeah,
so I think that is a good point that the world has changed. Dating has changed. And how do we look at that and make that more? There's nothing better on The Bachelor when it's like, this is different. This hasn't been done. Sometimes it doesn't work out, but you never know. At least you tried something.
Yeah, totally. Or like when they have like mutual friends or something like that, which I think almost never happened. But if it did, it'd be kind of interesting too.
It'd be really interesting, yeah.
Maybe you should narrow the pool even further. So it's like not such a broadcasting call, but it's like Becca's from Minnesota, only Midwestern contenders or something like that.
But she may not want to be that. You know, she's like, I'm trying to get out of the Midwest.
I don't want to. I don't want these winners anymore.
Yeah,
if she doesn't want to be there.
Oh my God, yeah, exactly.
This is a little unrelated, but did you happen to watch Paul George's series where he talked about his free agency?
No, but I know.
ESPN?
Yes, I have not watched it, but
on the topic of trade outs, he has a scene at the Four Seasons Westlake Village, which is very often seen on The Bachelor.
Yes, absolutely.
So that they must be like deep in the trade out business, basically.
Oh, they're totally in the trade. They have a studio there.
They do?
Like an actual studio, because we've talked about, do we ever do like a Men Tell All or
that's funny.
AFR there? Yes, absolutely.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Let's look ahead to Paradise a little bit.
Let's look to Paradise.
Did you go for filming?
It's in the can. Unfortunately, I did not go.
Is it in Sayulita again?
It was in Sayulita.
I was very close to there a few months ago, but I didn't go.
Vacation? Or?
Yeah, I went to
it's nice there,
Puerto Vallarta. Yeah.
Oh, it's so nice.
It is really. Mexico is fantastic.
It's amazing. I remember going there last year and buying lunch for like Chris Harrison and some of the producers, and it was like lobster. And
it's
like, oh my God, this is going to be
like
$800 on my expense account. It's like $50.
It's seriously so cheap.
It's amazing. Yeah,
it's a great place. What did anything go into Paradise differently this year after how production was halted last year?
If anything, it was nice. This is a straight down the middle. I mean, it's funny to say about Bachelor in Paradise, but that's what this season is like. It's what you know and love about Paradise. It is a great cast between the girls from Ari. Like, look, you can say what you want about Ari, but his girls were great.
Yeah, he had some good ones.
Good girls and good guys from this season. No, it's
Baka. She's not in the first round, but I'm positive she'll be going. There's no way this show could happen without Baka.
No,
you don't need to comment. It's fine.
I won't comment.
I trust the process.
Did you see the Twitter beef between her and Raven?
Of course I did.
Oh my God, that was so good.
I was going to ask, as a representative of the network, how do you feel about a piece of Paradise being spoiled and then turning into like a big Twitter to-do? Is that a plus or a minus for you?
I think it's probably a plus.
I think so too.
You know, it's like, what do you want to do? It's like the worst thing is you know, when something is, look, there's certain things you want to keep unspoiled. Like there's nothing like that scene when you watch it in the audience. You know, Mike Fleiss don't go out in the audience when we're doing After the Final Rose, we tape the finale. And you watch that scene where you see the shoe come out of the limo or the helicopter or whatever it is, and then you pan up and you see who's not going to get the final round. And the audience just goes crazy.
Right.
And then the next person comes on, and the audience, either if they really like, starts clapping and they're going crazy. And so it's like that, you know, that surprise is always awesome. But something like this and in Paradise, this only helps you, you know, it feels like, oh, wow, that's going to happen. I got to watch that. Also, Paradise is one, too, where there's 15 storylines.
Right.
So it's good to have one that people are talking about before we've even started.
Sure. Yeah, it is true. Like, there's some intrigue going into it.
Absolutely.
We also know that Colton will not be going to, well, maybe he'll go to the fantasy suite. Maybe he'll be top 3.
We don't know. Absolutely.
It's true. He could be. I don't know.
Anything can happen. That's right.
Anything. But he will be going to Paradise. I'm glad to see the friends return next week.
Yes.
That's great. So they meet her in
Buffalo.
In Buffalo.
Yes, absolutely.
Wow, friends. Yes. I like that because Jason had his friends come to the.
Yeah, it was cool.
Jason seems like a sneaky Bachelor contender, by the way, with the new haircut.
I've seen a lot of that. That's the two things I've heard is Jason be a good Bachelor, but then hair issues.
I think he'd be a better Bachelor than Blake. It's just my opinion.
Well, you're usually right on these things.
Blake is going to be boring.
I think you were right about. Well, I hate to say somebody was bad, but you're right that Leslie Murphy would have been a good Bachelorette.
Better than Des. Des is a real snooze. No one even thinks about her. But you want to know what? Des and Chris were obviously a really good match. Just like Ari and
what was amazing about Desiree,
Lauren
too, was that the fact that she was able to pull herself together
I know.
When Brooks left.
Brooks, yeah.
And it wasn't even like a rebound thing. It was like, this was the right guy for her.
It was.
They've got a kid.
He's
married.
Cute, too. Seattle seems like a nice city for her.
It's awesome.
They have 2 kids now?
I think they have 1.
Okay, yeah. Just 1. But yeah, that's like a good match.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I just think Blake would probably find someone and it would be boring. I think Jason seems more fun. The fact that he's also friends with Gronk tells me that he's got a fun-loving side.
Yeah, you're not wrong about that. Absolutely.
And I just think he would be a little bit looser. Blake just seems like maybe a little too nice.
Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think the good thing is we will now find out more about these people with
in the coming
hometowns and fantasy suites and things like that. So that will help us kind of, at least learn a little bit more and make our decision. The other good thing about Bachelor is we can make that decision. It's not like Bachelor where it's like, oh my God, we got to make this now. So
they both are, I mean, obviously the Bachelorette's extremely condensed, but even the Bachelor, the kind of the schedule is really short.
It's
compared
a
to other shows.
Now. It's a year-round thing. It's crazy. It is totally wild.
Last question.
Mm-hmm.
What was your first reaction when you found out Ashley and Jared were finally together?
Stunned.
How'd you find out?
I think one of the producers told me.
It's one of the biggest things to ever happen in Bachelor Nation.
But that's what I find so shocking. Because I will say, I've had a blind spot to Ashley. I was like, on Winter Games, the producers were like, we got to put her on. We got to put her on. She'll be great. I was like, oh God, it's going to be that shtick again where she's crying and everything. And to their credit, they were absolutely right.
It also definitely landed. It led to her ending up with Jared. So
I think it absolutely did.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think it was he saw her with Kevin and was like, oh my God,
100. He saw her with Kevin, no longer a virgin. I mean,
that was it.
A great now, double.
Ashley has she? I don't know that she's publicly said that she's no longer a virgin.
She has not, but that's probably for the best.
But you think that's probably the case?
Definitely. She dated Kevin for like a few months. He traveled to LA to see her.
Yeah.
If you're do you travel if there's
no sex?
He's a hunky
guy too.
He's on Paradise too, right?
He's on Paradise,
I can't wait.
So they got engaged in front of Kevin, which I think I've heard kind of threw him for a loop.
Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, fascinating!
Is that fascinating?
Yes, I'm surprised there was enough emotion for it throw him for a loop, but that's great.
Yes, that's right. Well, exactly, Canadian emotion. So
I feel like
by the
for
way, no
someone
offense to Canada or Canadians, who I love.
I love Canadians as well. There's none that I dislike. Although I'd be happy to send Justin Bieber back with Haley Baldwin. Farewell to you both.
Yes, exactly.
Are you guys going to get that wedding, Jared and Ashley, or a miniseries for them?
Well, everybody seems to want one. What I would like to do, and we've talked about this, Mike Felicity, is I'd like to do a big multiple wedding thing. Even if it's not because the weddings don't rate as well as you think, because that's you talk about with Bachelorette, you lose at least there's not one guy that wants to watch a wedding. And I don't know, there's some girls who don't want to watch it necessarily.
I think that I have an alternate suggestion. I think that Jared and Ashley should pay for their Bachelor and Bachelorette parties. I think they should do them same place, probably like Nashville or New Orleans, like a normal place to have.
Well, that would be a good thing. I don't know if you remember Tristan Ryan's wedding.
No,
and we
I don't.
made it. It was like that was when, it was like they were so massive. And that was like a 3-week thing.
Right.
Where it was like there was a show leading up to it and everything. And one of them was the bachelor party, and it was, the controversy of, oh my God, did Ryan, whatever, get a lap dance, or was he interested in one of the people there, whatever it was. This is one where no matter what, something is going to happen. Ashley's going to be in tears because she's upset that Jared.
Oh, of course. Something will happen. I love Jersey Shore Family Vacation so much.
So good.
So good. It's incredible.
Hats off. Sally Ann Salsano.
So good.
She's so great.
I interviewed Sally Ann before it was on. She was really selling me on it, and I was like, just didn't believe it. I was so wrong.
No,
I can't believe how good it was.
No,
but
proud of them.
I think that could be a model for like doing like a bachelor, like you get them and like their bachelor friends together, and just a few like new people.
What's interesting is the Paradise people really bond.
Yes.
And they form those lifelong friendships. And you see sort of Carly and Jay and how they are. So maybe it's something like that. And they love Ashley. So
right. So I think you do like a week-long trip and then it's like a special or something.
Right, I'm down with that.
Just my idea. Also, people are so invested in the friendships that they have. Like like fans of The Bachelor care about all of these people being friends.
They do. Well, it's a family. And they feel so real. Even more than the one thing about the Jersey Shore people is they are these caricatures of Guidos and Guidettes. Yeah. These people actually feel, Jade and Tanner are like, well,
just a nice
they're
couple.
People that I know. Carly and Evan are, so I think they do feel like, I know these people. I love these people.
I know. And that's why I want to go along for the ride of their Bachelor and Bachelorette parties.
Absolutely.
Maybe
I like this idea.
Maybe one goes to Nashville. She can go to Nashville and he can go to New Orleans or something like that.
No, why are you picking Nashville?
It's the Bachelorette party of the world.
Is that right?
Capital of the world. Yeah.
I did not know that.
It's like the number one place for Bachelorette parties.
I spent a lot of time in Nashville because we do a lot of country music stuff.
Oh, cool.
I love Nashville.
Yeah. Well, that's
I
really
did not know
popular.
That's where they go for Bachelorette parties.
Yeah.
Really.
Did you watch Music City on CMT?
No.
It's very good if you like Nashville.
Now I'm going to watch this now.
It's from Adam DeVello, who did.
Oh, yes.
Laguna.
I know him. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Small reality TV world.
It is, yes.
Rob, thank you so much for coming in today.
Oh my God, Juliet. You're always so fun.
Everyone loves when you appear on this show, so thank you for doing it.
Thank you, everyone.
I'll be back on Thursday, and thanks again to the upcoming film, The Spy Who Dumped Me. Don't miss Mila Kunis and Kate McKinnon as best friends turned international spies who raced through several European capitals, all while being hunted by a host of top-secret operatives who either want to help them, get rid of them, or both. Check out the trailer now, and don't miss this summer's hottest action comedy in theaters August 3rd. Thanks again to Ben and Jerry's. Ben & Jerry's is known for creating euphoric ice cream with quirky and unique flavor combinations and delicious chunks and swirls throughout. And now, new Mouphoria flavors. Digging into a bowl of your favorite treat is even sweeter. Because at 140 to 160 calories per serving, Mouphoria is the lightest way to enjoy all the euphoria of Ben & Jerry's. It's available in 3 amazing flavors, including chocolate milk and cookies, caramel cookie fix, and PB dough. Try them all. Go to store.benjerry.com to have new Mouphoria light ice cream delivered to you.